G'day, you're joining me today from Medellin, Colombia, as you can see in the background here. I'm going to talk today about the perfect week in Medellin. Put together a full schedule that will entertain you, educate you, open your eyes. So let's assume maybe you land on a Sunday night and on Monday is the first day that you're good to go in exploring the city. The first thing that I recommend everybody does is the downtown tour of Medellin. It's a free tour. What you do is you go, you enjoy the tour, and then you pay afterwards based on how you thought it was. So it's tip based. They walk around the downtown area of Medellin and they will explain the last 100 years of history in this city. You're going to learn a lot and you're going to feel like you know a bit more about the struggles that the people here have been through. And you're also going to understand after this tour why it's extremely stupid to glorify Pablo Escobar and be doing Pablo Escobar tours, and why the locals really hate everything about the narco tourism industry. So once you're done with this downtown tour, I think it's about 2 hours overall, but after that you want to head to the markets. They're pretty hard to miss, but if you don't know exactly where it is, you can ask your tour guide, see if you can get some cool souvenirs for your family or your friends back home. All right, so that's Monday done, guys. You've learned a bit of history, wandered downtown. Now let's get to Tuesday. I've put together a document for all of you. You can download this once this video is over and you can have that. I have all the links to all the things I'm going to talk about. Check the link in the description. You can download that free gift, all right, from AK to you. And on Tuesday, we have another tour that has large cultural significance to the city of Medellin. Probably heard of this one by now. That is Comuna 13. It was once considered the most dangerous place in the whole world. Tour is with Zippy Tours. If you do it in English, you'll most likely get a good friend of mine called Esteban, and he's probably the most passionate and most well-educated tour guide I've ever had anywhere in the world. His tour of Comuna 13 will go for 3 hours, and you're going to learn a lot of amazing stuff there. You're going to hear his stories as well, because he's born and raised in Comuna 13. So after the tour, I recommend you check out the area of Laureles. That's actually where I live. It's a place with many amenities, many restaurants, cool stuff to do, but not so many tourists. Most tourists, they just come to Medellin, they go to Poblado and they think, oh, that's Medellin, then they go back home. Poblado is not Medellin. The furthest from Colombian lifestyle that you would ever see. I would recommend anyone, you want to check out Poblado, Laureles, and also Envigado. We're going to get into Envigado a bit later in this plan, but now let's do Laureles. First, I would recommend going to Juan Valdez, Laureles. Juan Valdez is Colombia's most proudest export of coffee. Absolutely delicious. Honestly, my favorite. Get a coffee from there and then you'll wander down to Primer Parque and Laureles. Beautiful place. You can sit there, you can enjoy your coffee and maybe walk around that area as well, because that's a very quiet, residential, typical Colombian living, as opposed to all these high rises and stuff you see behind me. I'm in Poblado right now. This is not typical Colombian living, believe it or not. So now Tuesday's done. Let's get into Wednesday. We've done Poblado. Obviously, it's probably where you're staying. Laureles. And now let's do Envigado. So Envigado is even more traditional and old school. You'll see that when you go there. I suggest you go to a place called Calle de la Buena Mesa. It's the area with all the cafes and restaurants and stuff in Envigado. You can go there during the day, get a coffee once again. If you don't drink coffee, maybe start, or I guess you can drink a tea or a juice or a water. Get a coffee there and then just once again walk around. Have a look, take it all in. That's one favorite thing that I like to do in cities. Go to somewhere new, see how the locals are living, what's happening in this area. And I think it's a really cool thing to do, to really understand the place where you're visiting, right? Rather than just doing the tourist shit and going home. So now we're done with the morning coffee and walk around and checking out Envigado. Let's get into some activities. So I've put in the activities here which have cultural significance to Colombians. So the first one being salsa. They love to dance salsa here. Whenever you go out to a bar or something, Colombians are dancing this. They've started when they were like, I don't know, 2 years old, and every Colombian dances salsa like an absolute legend. We want to learn, all right? It's very important that we try the things that are of cultural significance in the countries where we go. I've given you two options here. If you want to stay in Poblado and do a bit more tourist type salsa class, you can go to Valley Spanish School. Check the link. Usually goes for about an hour. Can be like 50% foreigners, 50% Colombians. But if you want the full Colombian experience, I put another link to a more local one in the area of Medellin, also one of my favorite areas in the whole city. Whenever I did salsa lessons there, I was the only foreigner. It was just me and like 10 other Colombians, and they loved it. And they're super proud that I was taking an interest to learn what's important to them. So those are the two options. And after the salsa class, let's have a traditional meal. You're probably wondering about food. I've put 3 options in there. All the 3 options, Rancherito, Ato Viejo, and Mondongos, are all traditional Colombian restaurants serving traditional Colombian food. What do I suggest? Well, I suggest go there and just ask the waiter, hey, what's your favorite dish? What would you suggest? They're very, very proud of their food, especially in this region, in Medellin, in Antioquia, the state where Medellin's located. So if you just go and ask someone, hey, I want to get the best food available, they're going to suggest something and just enjoy. And if you're a drinker, you can also try aguardiente. That's their local liquor from this area. Now let's get to Thursday. So in a lot of the postcards and Instagram posts, you'll see a place called Guatapé. It's basically a big rock. It's surrounded by all these lakes, and it's a really beautiful place to visit. You can do day trips there, go up the rock, see the little town. The town is still in the style of a traditional Colombian town, or pueblo as they call it. So that's going to be a full day thing. That's definitely a must do. Now let's get to Friday. Our week's almost ending, but don't worry, we've already done a lot of stuff and there's still a lot of great stuff to go. So you've heard me talking a lot about coffee. If you don't drink coffee, you still might like this, what I'm about to suggest, and that is a coffee tour. There's certain coffee plantations around the mountains, and you can go there and they'll show you everything from looking at the coffee fruit on the tree to how it's processed, how they grind it, and how they make it into a cup of coffee. They put you in the traditional coffee picking gear that they use in this area, and you get a nice cup of coffee at the end of the day. So that's a great experience because coffee is very important to Colombians. They have some of the best coffee in the world and they're very proud of it. After your coffee tour, go to Provenza for dinner. Provenza was named last year, I believe, as one of the coolest streets in the whole world. It's a street, but they've closed it off and it's just bars and restaurants the whole way. Pick any of the restaurants, they're all good, but I would suggest one called Yaki Chan. It's an Asian restaurant. It's really cool for a date. Kind of weird. It's kind of interesting, but a cool place to check out. And the food is also delicious. They also have vegan and vegetarian options. Before we get into our plans for Saturday, I just want to give a quick shout out to my good mate Rick, who's let me use his amazing apartment for some filming today. He owns some spectacular Airbnbs here in Medellin. So if you want to check out his portfolio, I've left a link in the description. But beware, they're not cheap. They're on the high end. They're decked out incredibly. So if you got a bit more money to spend, they might be for you. All right, Saturday, we have 2 days left. If you're an active person, you're really going to love this. The hike Tres Cruces. It's the most famous hike in Medellin. You want to get there early. The reason for that is because it is fucking hot and there's no shade. So unless you want to melt, you want to get there about 7 or 8 a.m. It's kind of a hard hike. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm a fit guy. I work out maybe 10 hours a week, and even going up that thing can be quite difficult. There's a midpoint. In the midpoint, there's people selling orange juices and different things like that. There's kind of like a workout, some bars, people will be doing yoga. After that, we're going to reward ourselves because we're working hard. The whole city is surrounded by mountains, and that makes for some spectacular views. What we want to do is that night, Saturday, we're leaving on Sunday. Sunday night's our flight. We want to make the most out of these last 2 days. So we're going to hit a rooftop bar. Medellin has some amazing rooftop bars. I'm actually looking at one of them right now. I can just see it right there. Messiah is a hostel, and they have a great rooftop. They have a bar, they have a swimming pool. If you want a bit more upper scale, a bit more expensive, a bit more flashy, then you can go to Envy Rooftop at the Charlie Hotel. That is your Saturday night sorted. Now, it brings me to Sunday, and you're really going to love ending your trip on this note. It's the cable cars that go up and you have these beautiful views of the mountains and the whole city. Hey, so I've just finished going to Parque RV, which is up there, but it has the best view of Medellin on the cable car down. I'm just going to show you. Check this out. That is the whole valley and the whole city of Medellin. Definitely check it out. Link in the description if you want to figure out how to go there. Check the link. I've put the travel path in for you. You'll basically get to this one station and you'll take the cable car all the way up to this place called Parque RV. Parque RV is a beautiful national park. It's only like 40 minutes, 45 minutes from the city, and that's basically your trip sorted. And also there's some extras. If you have some extra time or you want to substitute some of these activities that I put in here, maybe they're not to your liking, maybe check out these things. So the first thing on the list is going to a soccer or football match. Colombia's crazy about football. They have 2 local teams here in Medellin. You want to go to one of their matches, it's an amazing experience. The next one is, we're coming up to December right now. In December, all around the city, they put up a lot of Christmas lights. One awesome place for that is Parque del Rio. You want to go there during December. Everything's lit up. They have a river there. All the river's lit up. It's a beautiful spectacle. You can get your food and stuff there. It's a whole event. And the last one is Pueblito Paisa. This is also within the city. You go up on this hill. The views from there are amazing because it's quite high up. And also there they have a replica of a very traditional Colombian town. It's kind of a tourist trap, but if you have a spare day, go check that out too. I try to put in as much active things here as well as things that really helped you learn about the Colombian culture, plus a bit of fun as well. If you want any more suggestions, leave them in the comments. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. Enjoy your time in Medellin.